Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Didye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 21, Lord Krishna's explanation of the Vedic path, text number 11 onwards. So Krishna was speaking about purifying different things when we are using them. Shaktya Shaktyatva Buddhya Samriddhya cha yadatmane agam kurvanti hi yatha deshavasthanusarata. Impure things may or may not impose sinful reactions upon a person, depending on that person's strength or weakness, intelligence, wealth, location, and physical condition. The Lord has described the purity and impurity of different places, times, and material objects. According to the laws of nature, that which is impure contaminates a particular person in accordance with that person's situation, as described here. For example, on certain occasions, such as a solar eclipse or just after childbirth, one must restrict the intake of food according to ritualistic injunctions. One who is physically weak, however, may eat without being considered impious. Ordinary persons consider the 10 days following childbirth to be most auspicious, whereas one who is learned knows that this period is actually impure. So, why is a period after childbirth and after death also, death of somebody in the family, why is it considered impure? Sutak. They say sutak lag jata. Actually, pure is mostly for worship of the deities from that aspect. And also from cooking in the kitchen. Now, why? Firstly, because the consciousness of the cook goes in the food. So, jaisa an vaisa man. It is, we have heard it so many times. So, the person, the lady who has gone through childbirth, first of all, she is weak. She needs some rest, lots of rest. And also, at that time, her consciousness is completely connected with the baby. So if somebody is serving the deities, then the consciousness now is not that she can serve the deities properly. So that is why it's considered that sutak, even at the time of death. Now again, there are different time periods recommended for different caste, not caste, varnashram. Like for Brahmins, the time period is less. I exactly don't know. Prabhupada has mentioned it somewhere. For Brahmins, it's lesser time because their consciousness is very pure, so they get back to their pure consciousness very fast. So Kshatriyas is a little more, Vaishyas is a little more, and Shudras is really more. So that is why it is said that they should take rest, or they should not go in the kitchen and cook, and they should not serve the deities. So ignorance of the law does not save one from being punished, but one who consciously commits sinful activities is considered most fallen. Concerning opulence, samriddhi, worn-out, dirty clothing, or a messy residence are considered impure for a rich man, but acceptable for one who is poor. The word desha indicates that in a safe and peaceful place, one is obligated to strictly perform religious rituals. Whereas in a dangerous or chaotic situation, one may be excused for occasional negligence of secondary principles. The one who is physically healthy must offer obeisances to the deities, attend religious functions, and execute his prescribed duties. But a young child or sickly person may be excused from such activities, as indicated by the word avastha. So again, these things vary from person to person. Ultimately, as Srila Rupa Goswami states, one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities of philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So one should accept everything which is favorable for the devotional service of Lord and reject what is unfavorable. So that is the bottom line of devotion service. One must learn the process of serving God from the bona fide spiritual master and thus always maintain one's existence pure and free from anxiety. In general, however, when considering the relative purity and impurity of material things, all of the above mentioned factors must be calculated. But at the same time, yes, these are important factors, important considerations. But if we just stick or if we just bother about these factors and forget the main thing, which is to serve Krishna, which is to do bhakti, then what's the use also at the same time? So one has to be very careful. Dhanyadar avasthit tantunam jastajas archan charmanam kale vayavagni mrittoya parthivanam yuta. Various objects such as grains, wooden utensils, things made of bone, thread, liquids, objects derived from fire, skins, and earthy objects are all purified by time, by wind, by fire, by earth, and by water, either separately or in combination. The word kala or time is mentioned here since all purificatory processes take place within time. So things made of bone, now things made of bone are considered impure. But at the same time, every single temple has conch shell. Where we blow the conch shell. What is conch shell? It is bone. Well, conch shell is considered pure, most pure. We don't need to purify conch shell. It's already pure. Stool is considered very impure, right? But cow dung and cow urine is used for Krishna's service. We sometimes offer it to Krishna, cow dung and cow urine. And in fact, cow dung, cow urine can purify any place. So how to understand these things? Then, because this is what Vedas, this is what the scriptures mention, so we just follow them. Amedhya liptam yadyena gandha lepam vipyohati bhajate prakritam tasya tachocham tavadishyate. A particular purifying agent is considered appropriate when its application removes the bad odor or dirty covering of some contaminated object and makes it resume its original nature. Furniture, kitchen utensils, clothing, and other objects are purified by application of abrasion, alkali, acid, water, and so on. One thereby removes the bad fragrance or impure coating of such objects, restoring them to their original clean appearance. So they are considered pure afterwards. Another example, it's not in the scriptures because that time we didn't used to do that, is dry cleaning. Now the deity's clothes from the temple, because it has so many of work done, kashtakari or whatever is done on that clothes, so we cannot just wash them. We send them for dry cleaning. And dry cleaning is basically done with alcohol. Now, alcohol we cannot consume, but for deity's clothes, it's okay. So different considerations. Snana dana tapovastha virya sansakara karma matsmritya chatmana shocham shuddha karma charetat vicha. The self can be cleansed by bathing, charity, austerity, age, personal strength, purificatory rituals, prescribed duties, and above all by remembrance of me. The Brahman and other twice-born men should be duly purified before performing their specific activities. The word avastha indicates that when boys and girls are young, they are kept pure by youthful innocence, and that as they grow up, they are kept pure through proper education and engagement. By one's individual potency, one should avoid sinful activities and the association of those inclined towards sense gratification. The word karma here refers to prescribed duties such as worshipping the spiritual master and the deity, chanting the Gayatri Mantra 3 times daily, and accepting spiritual initiation. The prescribed duties of the Varnashram system automatically purify one from the covering of false ego by dovetailing one's bodily designations in appropriate religious activities. So there are specific duties for Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanprasthas, and Sannyasis, as described previously in this canto by the Lord himself. The most significant word here is mat smrteya, by remembrance of me. So that purifies anything and everything, everybody. Ultimately, one cannot avoid the infection of illusion through any process except Krishna consciousness. The 3 modes of nature perpetually interact, and one must sometimes fall into the mode of ignorance and sometimes rise to the mode of goodness, uselessly rotating within the kingdom of illusion. But by Krishna consciousness, remembrance of the personality of Godhead, one can actually uproot one's tendency to act against the will of the Absolute Truth. Then one becomes freed from the clutches of Maya and goes back home, back to Godhead. So as stated in Garuda Puran, this shloka, so actually we say this shloka many times in a day. Apavitra pavitro va sarva avasthan gato apiva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhaya vyantara shuchi. Whether one is pure or contaminated, and regardless of one's external situation, simply by remembering the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, one can internally and externally cleanse one's existence. It says in Garuda Puran, actually. So, by remembering the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead or by chanting, same effect will be there. So we get purified externally and internally as well. The Lord Chaitanya recommended we constantly remember the Supreme Lord by chanting their holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This sublime process is essential for every human actually desirous of purifying his existence. So purity is very much required. Mantrasya cha parigyanam karma shuddhir madarpanam dharma sampadyate shadbhir adharmastu viparyaya. A mantra is purified when chanted with proper knowledge, and one's work is purified when offered to me. Thus, by purification of the place, time, substance, doer, mantras, and work, one becomes religious, and by negligence of these 6 items, one is considered irreligious. So one receives a mantra through the mouth of a bona fide spiritual master who instructs a disciple in the method, meaning, and ultimate purpose of the mantra. The bona fide spiritual master in this age gives his disciple the Maha Mantra, holy names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One who chants this mantra, considering himself to be the eternal servant of the Lord, gradually learns to chant offenselessly, and by such purified chanting, quickly achieves the highest perfection of life. The Lord here summarizes a discussion of purity and impurity, which manifest ultimately in religious and irreligious life. So basically, Krishna also says, by chanting, one becomes really purified. Kvachit guno api doshasya dosho api vidhina guna guna doshartha niyamas vidhameva badhate. Sometimes piety becomes sin, and sometimes what is ordinarily sin becomes piety on the strength of Vedic injunctions. Such special rules, in effect, eradicate the clear distinction between piety and sin. So sometimes piety becomes sin. How? For example, there's a story of a travel of a person who was traveling in the old age. So he was traveling like earlier days they used to walk by foot. So he was going from one place to another. So going, there was night. So he stopped in a village, in a house. He went to that house and asked the permission of the householder if he can stay. He said, "I'll just stay outside in your in your veranda, and when morning comes, I'll be on my way." So what happened? Middle of the night, and he was fed nicely by the lady of the house, and he slept outside. Middle of the night, the lady came out of the house and told that man. She came with wrong intentions, and she said, "If you don't fulfill my desire, then I'm gonna make it really bad scene for you." And the man said, "No, no, no, this is not right. I'm just a guest, and I'll be on my way tomorrow morning. So please don't do it." She said, "No, no." Then she started screaming and yelling, and she said, and she tore off her clothes and she put the blame on this man. And her husband came, and she, in fact, before the villagers came, she killed her husband also. And the villagers came, and she said that this man killed my husband and he wanted to rape me and he tore off my clothes. So you should do something. And the villagers, they punished that man by cutting off his hands, and they let him go. Now the man was thinking, "What in the world did I do? What to get this kind of punishment?" So going, he met a sadhu. He said, "This is what happened, and please explain what happened. What exactly did I do wrong?" So the sadhu, he was a learned man, so he went into his past life, and he said, "Actually, in your past life, you committed a sin, and because of that, you got punished." He said, "What did I do?" He said, Sadhu said, "You were taking bath in a river, and a cow went by, cow was running, and behind the cow, there was a butcher running with his knife. And the cow went one way, and the butcher came by, and he asked you, which way did the cow go? And you were very proud of being truthful, and you did not say anything because you didn't want to say, but you just pointed with your hand that in this direction the cow went. And the butcher went that way and he killed the cow. So did he do piety by telling the truth, or he did sinful activity by telling this truth? So somebody can say he was pious man, he was speaking the truth. But no, because of that, the cow got killed. So this life, the sage told him, that cow became that lady, the butcher became that lady's husband, and you were the traveler. And because you used that hand to point out which direction the cow went, your hand was cut off. And because that butcher killed the cow in the previous life, the lady took the revenge, and she got that husband, or who was butcher in the previous life, she got that guy killed. And she took revenge on you also, because of you, she got killed. So piety can become sin. So we got to be very careful. And also, at the same time, when we are going through some tough time, we just understand I am just suffering for some karma from some lifetime. Let it be so, without holding any grudge. And sometimes what is ordinarily sin becomes piety on the strength of Vedic injunctions. So if the man, if he had sinned, apparent sin, by lying to the butcher, it could have become a pious activity, could have saved that cow. So actually karma is very difficult to understand. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's very, very difficult to understand karma. So we just got to have faith in Krishna. The Lord clearly explains here that the material piety and sin are always relative considerations. For example, if a neighbor's house is on fire and one chops a hole in the roof so that the trapped family may escape, one is considered to be a pious hero because of the dangerous situation. In normal conditions, however, if one chops a hole in his neighbor's roof or breaks the neighbor's windows, he is considered a criminal. Similarly, one who abandons one's wife and children is certainly irresponsible and thoughtless. But if one takes sannyas, however, and remains fixed on a higher spiritual platform, he is considered to be a most saintly person. So piety and sin therefore depend upon particular circumstances and are at times difficult to distinguish. According to Srila Madhvacharya, persons above the age of 14 are considered capable of distinguishing between good and bad, and are thus responsible for their pious and sinful activities. Animals, on the other hand, being merged in ignorance, cannot be blamed for their offenses or praised for their so-called good qualities, which all arise ultimately from ignorance. Human beings who act like animals with the idea that one should not feel any guilt but should do whatever one likes will certainly take birth as animals absorbed in ignorance. And there are other foolish people who observe the relativity of material piety and sin conclude that there is no absolute good. It should be understood, however, that Krishna consciousness is absolutely good because it involves complete obedience to the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose goodness is eternal and absolute. So those who are inclined to study material piety and sin ultimately experience frustration due to the relativity and variability of the subject matter. One should therefore come to the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, which is valid and perfect in all circumstances. So for us, real piety is, if Krishna is pleased with our service, that is piety. If he's not, that is sin. Simple as that. Just like in the battle of Mahabharata, when Krishna asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to lie to Dronacharya that Ashwatthama is killed, because Dronacharya wouldn't have believed anybody. Even if Krishna had said Ashwatthama is killed, Dronacharya wouldn't have believed. But if Yudhishthira Maharaj had said, yes, he would have believed. So Yudhishthira Maharaj hesitated for a moment. How can I lie? But then he spoke. Of course, he did not lie completely because he said Ashwatthama, the elephant, was killed. But when he said the elephant, Bhima and everybody started sounding their conscience. So Dronacharya could not hear that part. So Dronacharya put down his weapons and Drishtadyumna killed him. And later, because Yudhishthira Maharaj, although he never even thought of committing any sin, forget about committing anything, he never thought of it. But because he hesitated to follow the orders of Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord himself, standing in front of him, telling him to lie, Yudhishthira Maharaj had to go to hell. Just for a moment, only for a moment, but he had to go to hell. And of course, when he went to hell, seeing such a pure devotee coming there, the people in the hell, they were fortunate and they were happy to take his darshan. But the point is, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita. Whatever Krishna says, that is dharma. Rest everything is adharma. Our mundane piety, impiety, doesn't matter for Krishna. Of course, that doesn't mean we bend the rules mentioned in the scriptures. We cannot. We are not at that level. So we have to follow. And when some situation comes, then we pray to Krishna to give us the right intelligence, to do the right thing that pleases him. That's all. But otherwise, Vedas are supreme, but emergency situation, difficult situations. So we just pray to Krishna, please guide me. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
in last few verses, we read that people who want to acquire just knowledge and want to do devotional service. So, if they want to go for devotional service and they don't follow the path and you go for the knowledge search and all, so that is actually make them fall down. So, what does it exactly means? Is it like the person who are trying to do some PhD on something or like that, is it not right way of doing it, or is we should not um, aspire to do all these things?
You mean PhD in some material science?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that is your technical knowledge. That is okay. Who's saying no for that? If it helps you in career and that can help you in devotional service, why not?
So it was like mentioned, no, that if the devotee tries to purify himself through cultivation of knowledge and renunciation, which fall outside the scope of devotional service, there is a danger of his being deviated from the Lord's lotus feet and falling down completely
No,
from
no,
the
that
path.
no, no, no. That knowledge means only going to the study of scriptures without
Oh,
understanding the real purpose behind it. Jnana yoga, that is different.
okay, 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 okay. Okay,
Here, if
means
you want to pursue some higher studies for your career, or that can also, devotees have done PhD, and this brings them in a higher status of life in society. So that when they preach, people really notice that so and so person is speaking. So that helps.
yes, yes, Prabhuji. So just those who don't follow the Bhakti Yoga principles, but they just want to study about the Vedas or Bhagavatam or any other books. So that will not suffice
Bhagavatam
for
is
me.
pure devotion, but Bhagavatam is pure devotion. They were just going through mundane knowledge of Ved. Not well, it is mundane. I cannot say mundane, but just trying to understand Krishna by studying. That is very difficult.
Okay, okay. Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.